Let's talk about the different terms and definitions that BSIS uses. By understanding the different terms and definitions that the state of California uses, you're going to be in so much better position to understand what the meaning of certain correspondence is from the state to you. If there's some type of training bulletin or advisory bulletin, you're going to understand that bulletin so much better than anyone else because you're going to understand the jargon of the industry. And very importantly for many of you who are taking the Private Patrol Operator Qualified Manager exam, there are certain terms and definitions that are in the state exam that if you don't know what they mean, you're going to fail the question. So let's talk about the first one. The first one is Department of Consumer Affairs, DCA. The DCA is an executive branch of the state of California's government. And as a executive branch, DCA is allowed to make certain rules and guidelines. Of course, the Business and Professions Code has to give DCA that authority, and many circumstances they do. The DCA is managed by a director. So the person that manages the DCA is called a director. And under the director is a chief. Okay, chief. The chief of BSIS, the Bureau of Security and Investigative Services. Now, if you ever have to communicate with somebody that is related to private security or private investigative services, you're going to probably be referring your correspondence to the chief. But in some circumstances, you may have to write your correspondence to the director. But throughout this training course, I will tell you when you will have to pick and choose either one of them. Okay? It's important to also know that DCA is not just in charge of BSIS. There's actually over 200 other smaller branches of agencies that fall under the DCA. So for example, you have cosmetology, you have medical professionals such as doctors that fall under the DCA, and barbers as well. There's so many others that fall into that category. Now that we got that out of the way, you're going to hear the term private patrol operator. Private patrol operator used often in our industry. And you are going to also hear the term of licensee. Okay? A licensee is a term that you're going to use interchangeably with private patrol operator. Okay? Licensee, private patrol operator, PPO, the same thing. And what a private patrol operator is, it's the owner of the security company. Okay, this is the top person, the person that's ultimately legally responsible for the company. And under the private patrol operator is the qualified manager. Okay, with many of these large security agencies, many times we don't even know who the qualified manager is. We just get embroidered, so to speak, into this large organization, and we don't even know who's who. Maybe we might know who our supervisor is, but as for the qualified manager, we don't. So larger agencies, you don't even know who the qualified manager is. You should know, though. Very important. Now, the qualified manager is in charge of the day-to-day operations of the business. Okay? Any major issues that arise come through the qualified manager. And that's not to say that the qualified manager cannot delegate his or her authority to somebody else, but ultimately the qualified manager is in charge of the business. Now, some private patrol operator agencies, they have a branch office, and whenever you operate anywhere that's not within the office on file with BSIS, you're going to have a branch office certificate and a branch office. Okay? In charge of that branch office is the branch manager. Okay? But the branch manager still falls under the qualified manager. Okay? And the branch manager is somebody who's in charge of all of these security officers under them. It could be a command staff that you have, or anybody that might be maybe working in the field. They fall under the branch manager. But you might have offices that don't even have a branch office, and that's okay. In that case, the qualified manager is responsible for his or her officers under him. Okay, so just to be clear, you don't have to have a branch manager if you're operating within the office, and that office address has to be on file with BSIS. As long as you're operating within the office, you don't need a branch office certificate. You don't need a branch manager at all. But in most organizations, you need some type of security officers. You need the men and women on the ground, the boots on the ground, so to speak. And these people are managed by the qualified manager. So as a review, DCA, Department of Consumer Affairs, they're up here, okay? They're part of the executive branch of the state of California. Under them, managed by them is a director. And BSIS falls under DCA. BSIS is managed by a chief. And with your organization, you're going to have the private patrol operator, that's the owner of the company, and an interchangeable term is the licensee. Okay, these are the same, we're talking about the same people here. You also have a person that has to be in charge of the business, and that's the qualified manager. Under the qualified manager, you might have nobody. You might have some security officers, or if you operate outside of your office in another location, then you're going to need to have a branch office certificate, a branch office, and you need a branch manager to manage that office. And under that person, under the branch manager, you have officers, security guards, officers, whatever you like to name them, security professionals even.